Coming to paperback and e-readers in 2021, John Haynes, Taking Care of Business. The man who rules the world breaks on a brand new partner to help him take care of business in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, Taking Care of Business in 2021 at online booksellers everywhere. A 17-year-old boy is alleged to have murdered his father, his stepmother, two teenage relatives, and a 19-year-old pregnant woman in their Indianapolis home after his father disciplined him for leaving the house without permission. Now, your Raymond Ronald Lee Charles III is alleged to have murdered 6 members of his family in a mass shooting because his father told him he couldn't go out. Now, while many would look at this as an isolated incident, when I take a critical examination of this mass murder, it fits the pattern and profile I talk about regarding beta males in my book, The Man Crisis. And based on what police reports have presented about your Raymond Ronald Lee Charles III, he is a textbook beta male like I describe in my book, The Man Crisis. And while your Raymond Ronald Lee Charles III might have had a father in the home, it's clear to me that this boy had real serious issues because from pictures it appears that this boy was not really taught much about male authority or following behind male authority figures or understanding the chain of command as related to being in a home with a father. And because he did not really understand to respect male authority and male authority figures, this was the thing that possibly, I believe, led to your Raymond Ronald Lee Charles III wanting to murder his father. And I also believe that he possibly might have had mommy issues because when I look at his family structure, he had a stepmother. And when it comes down to a lot of beta males, a lot of these beta males have real serious problems because a lot of these males have mommy issues. And because they have these mommy issues, they oftentimes have a lot of contempt for male authority figures like their fathers. So that could have possibly been one of the things that led to your Raymond Ronald Lee Charles III having some serious anger issues, and he was probably simmering and boiling in this anger for some time as related to these mommy issues, because here was a boy in a home with a father and a stepmother, and he probably was angry because his mother wasn't there in his life, and subconsciously he was harboring anger at his father. And he probably was also angry because he probably had to deal with other relatives from another family, and all of these things were having him boil in this anger for years. And things were probably coming to a head for a while because it looked like from pictures he was a bit coddled and spoiled, and he ran into his first taste of male authority and having to deal with a male authority figure asserting authority on him. And this was the thing that probably led to him exploding in this rage he had had for years and then going out and participating in one of the most extremes as related to the spectrum of violent behaviors that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. Because when these beta males are simmering and boiling in anger and they get challenged by a male authority figure, oftentimes these males, what they will do is, when they explode in rage, is participate in extreme acts of violence because they want to express their contempt for that male authority figure. So that could have been the thing that led to this Raymond Ronald Lee Charles III going and taking out this firearm, which was firing rifle ammunition to murder his father and his stepmother, and then murder 2 other teenage relatives and murder a pregnant woman. Because when these beta males get angry, they participate not only in an act of violence, they participate in extreme acts of violence, especially when they are challenged by another male and another male authority figure. So I believe that in some way he wanted to really hurt his father. He wanted to make him pay for breaking up his original family, and that he wanted to use this whole argument over leaving the home as the reason for going out here and getting what he subconsciously wanted was revenge. Because these beta males, again, when they go out and participate in acts of violence, these males, they're not just doing it for that one little act, they are also doing it for compounded acts that they believe in, slights that they have received. And again, these males simmer and boil in anger for years before they wind up exploding. And that's what makes them extremely dangerous to be around. They will appear to be pleasant on the outside, and eventually they will become a nuclear explosion on the inside, and eventually they wind up exploding and doing harm to others. And this one was really troubling because all it was about a father trying to discipline his son, and this son, he just was again filled with anger for years, and he went out here and participated in this horrific act of violence where he wanted to murder his entire family because I believe he was angry about the state of his family. And that's one of the reasons why he went out here and took out this weapon around 4 a.m. That's what the reports are saying. And again, this is because he wanted to go somewhere without asking his parents. First, he wanted to do his own thing. And that's something that, again, a coddled and spoiled male would want to do, because a boy who understands being under male authority understands he needs to respect the rules of that man's house. And if he cannot respect the rules of that man's house, then it's time for him to leave that man's home. But this young male, what happened with him was he probably was coddled and spoiled for years, thought he could do whatever he wanted, and then when his father was going to scold him, he then wanted to go out here and murder his father. And this incident is starting a really disturbing trend of people participating in patricide and matricide, because I just heard another incident where one of these beta males who was really coddled and spoiled decided to murder his mother after she told him to get a job. So there clearly is a problem with the way we are raising males in this society. And the way we are raising males in this society is creating multiple generations of extremely dysfunctional individuals who cannot navigate a course in life. Because if you cannot handle the authority of your parents in your parents' home, then it's going to be next to impossible for you to navigate a course in the world. And your Raymond Ronald Lee Charles III just made his life that much harder, because after he murdered his family, he no longer has a support system. But that's something many beta males don't think about, because many beta males are caught up in their emotions. And because they are caught up in their emotions, all they're thinking about is their feelings and sating their feelings, not critically thinking about the consequences of their actions. Because your Raymond Ronald Lee Charles III, after he murdered his family, was not really thinking about the consequences of having no family to support him and no family to take care of him. He wasn't thinking about that. All he was doing was trying to satisfy these emotions he was having, and that emotional reaction is going to cost him in the future, because he's not going to have a family to stand by. And once he gets into the criminal justice system, he's not going to have a support system to support him when he has to go face the judge and the jury. and he is assured to probably get life in prison for murdering his family. And I guarantee you, he won't be out here trying to get in the face of these other male authority figures like these prison guards by thinking that he can participate in some violence, because those individuals are going to be able to hit back in ways that his father won't. Because if he gets in the face of the CO like that, the CO is going to not only bring him down, he's going to put him in solitary to let him know who the authority is. Because inside of the penitentiary system, the guards and the CO and the warden run the system, and they tell you when you can go, they tell you when you can get up, they tell you when you can eat. And if this young man wants to get in their faces, he's going to learn the hard way that when you deal with male authority in the criminal in the prison system, they don't play with you. The trouble you got into with your father was nothing compared to what happens inside of the penitentiary system. And if you make the guards mad, they will leave you at the mercy of many of the larger prisoners. And those larger prisoners, on hearing about this guy murdering his entire family, I guarantee you those guys are eager to show him how much of a boy he is, because those men, they are going to turn that tight end into a wide receiver, and they're going to be playing with those locks on his head and making him into their B word, because they're not going to see this guy as somebody they respect, because he murdered his family. And this guy doesn't understand that when he going out here and murdered his family in order to express his contempt for his father, how he's actually destroyed his life. But that is sadly par for the course with your beta males, because your beta males oftentimes act on impulse. They don't think critically, and they don't think about the consequences of their actions and how those actions are going to affect them in the future. No, many of them are so busy feeling about things that they don't think, and then when they wind up in situations like this where they wind up going to jail for the rest of their lives, they never think about how a little incident that they could have just brushed off could wind up being something that could wind up changing their life in a dramatic fashion. Because your Raymond Ronald Lee Charles III, had he thought critically, he would have just taken the discipline from his father and then been free to go anywhere in a couple of days. Unfortunately, because he could not respect the male authority of his father, he no longer has his father, he no longer has his family, and now he's going to be going to prison for the rest of his life because he's been charged as an adult, and he will now be dealing with the authority of people he can't go out here and fight against the way he did his father and his stepmother and his family members that he's destroyed, that he's taken the lives of. In that prison system, he has to deal with these COs, the warden, and he also is going to have to deal with these inmates who are not going to see him as somebody they respect, because once they get him inside of that jail cell and find out he murdered his parents, he's definitely going to be broken down, and he's going to wish that he had just obeyed his father, because what's coming for him is going to be worse than anything anybody would ever want to experience. Now, if you want to learn more about why so many males out here participate in a spectrum of extremely violent behaviors, like the incident I have talked about right here, and you want to learn more about the beta males and their paradigm, and why they're all messed up, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis on Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. It is a book that will help many men learn how to navigate a course in life so that they won't wind up in crisis and they won't wind up participating in extreme acts of violence like this. And if you want to see me make more men's issues videos, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available on Kindle, E-Steam No Good Deed. The Devilish Diva scares some stick-up kids straight in this action-packed E-Steam series comic. Get E-Steam No Good Deed on Kindle for 99 cents today.